There is a specific type of person watching this video. They are not the loudest person in the room. They are not the one who announces their goals or documents their journey or asks anyone to believe in them. They are the one who has been quietly working for months, maybe longer, with no applause, no results yet, no evidence that anyone is watching or that the work is accumulating into something real. And somewhere inside, underneath the discipline and the silence, a question has started to form. Is this actually going somewhere? Or am I just disappearing into effort that nobody will ever see? This video is the answer to that question. Not a motivational answer, a structural one. Because there is a blueprint for what you are doing. It has a name, and it has produced some of the most extraordinary outcomes in human history. It is called the Dark Horse Path, and you are on it. Stay with me. Here's the problem with building in silence when nobody has ever explained to you what silence is actually for. You start to wonder if the silence means you are failing. You watch other people who seem to be at the same starting point you were at, and they are visible. They are posting, they are sharing, they are getting feedback and encouragement and small wins that the algorithm confirms with numbers. And you are not. You are building something that has no number yet, no metric, no milestone that anyone can see. And without a framework, without understanding why silence is strategic, that gap between you and the visible people starts to feel like evidence. Evidence that you chose the wrong path. Evidence that quiet effort is somehow less valuable than documented effort. Evidence that you should be doing what they are doing. So you have two choices. The first choice, you break the silence. You start sharing before you are ready. You start seeking feedback from people who cannot yet evaluate what you are building. You start performing your process instead of running it. And something subtle but devastating happens. You split your energy. Half goes to the work. Half goes to managing how the work looks to other people. And the work, the actual compounding foundational work, gets half of what it needs. The second choice, you stay in the silence. But without understanding why, without the blueprint, you stay there confused and anxious and quietly questioning every day whether you have made a catastrophic mistake. Neither of those is the dark horse path. The dark horse path is something specific, and it starts with understanding what silence is actually doing for you. In 2013, researchers Brooke McNamara and David Hambrick published a study on what actually predicts exceptional performance in complex fields. They found something that challenges everything the visible success culture tells us. The people who arrived, who showed up one day seemingly from nowhere, performing at a level that shocked everyone around them, had spent a disproportionate amount of their development time in what researchers called deliberate practice in obscurity. Obscurity, not as a burden, as a laboratory. Because here is what obscurity does that visibility cannot. It removes the cost of being wrong. When nobody is watching, you can be wrong completely. You can try the thing that sounds ridiculous, abandon the approach that seemed promising, build in a direction that turns out to be a dead end, and restart without the weight of anyone having witnessed the failure. The person who builds publicly must manage not just the work, but the audience's relationship to the work at every stage. They cannot afford to be fully wrong, because being fully wrong is visible. The dark horse can afford to be wrong every single day. And it is that freedom, that specific, undervalued, misunderstood freedom, that makes the dark horse's eventual arrival so much more refined than anyone expected. They did not arrive despite the silence. They arrived because of it. The dark horse blueprint has three principles. Not three steps, three operating principles that govern everything a dark horse does differently. They are: protect the resource, compress the timeline, and arrive complete. Every time you share an unfinished thing, you spend something. Not dramatically, not all at once, but attention is finite, and the attention you give to managing how your work appears to others is attention you are not giving to the work itself. This is the hidden tax of building publicly. It is not that sharing is wrong, it is that sharing before the work is strong enough to withstand the audience's response costs you compounding returns. Here is the investment analogy. Imagine you have a sum of money earning compound interest at a high rate. Every time you withdraw from it, even a small amount, you reset the compounding. Not catastrophically, but meaningfully. The people who build extraordinary things protect their attention the same way a sophisticated investor protects their principal. They do not withdraw it for entertainment. They do not split it between the work and the performance of work. They let it compound, undisturbed, uninterrupted, invisible, until it has grown into something that no longer needs protection because it can withstand any audience. Practical application of this principle. Choose one person, not an audience, one person who understands what you are building and why. Share with that person. Process with that person. Everyone else gets the result, not the process, because the process belongs to the Forge, and the Forge does its best work in private. The most dangerous thing the Dark Horse can do is treat the silence as something to survive, because the moment you frame obscurity as a waiting room, you stop using it as a laboratory, and the laboratory is everything. Consider two people learning the same skill. The first person learns publicly. Every stage of their development is visible. They receive feedback at every step: encouragement, criticism, suggestions, comparisons. The second person learns in private. No feedback loop except the work itself. What works, what doesn't, what the actual results say, independent of what anyone thinks about them. Who learns faster? Counterintuitively, the second, because public feedback is almost always about the current stage. That's good for where you are. This needs more work, but you're getting there. Private feedback. The feedback of results alone tells you something harder and more useful. Not you're getting there, but precisely where the gap is, without the softening of social consideration. Dark horses who understand this do not simply wait in obscurity. They use obscurity to iterate faster than visible builders can, because every iteration is private. There is no audience to manage, no perception to maintain. Just the question, does this work? And then the next version, and then the next. They arrive not just ready, they arrive having already made the mistakes that their visible counterparts are about to make publicly. Obscurity is not a penalty. It is a head start disguised as a disadvantage. There is a moment in every Dark Horse story that the outside world misreads. It is the moment of arrival. The person who was not being watched suddenly is. The product nobody knew about is everywhere. The athlete nobody ranked is competing at the highest level. The channel with no subscribers suddenly has an audience that feels like it appeared overnight. And the world that was not watching, calls it luck, or timing, or some mysterious combination of circumstances that produced an unexpected result. What the world does not see, because it was not there for it, is the years of private iteration that made the arrival inevitable. The Dark Horse does not announce the arrival because the arrival is not an announcement. It is a completion. Something was built in private to the point where it could not be ignored. And when it was complete, truly complete, not performatively complete, it appeared. This is the final principle of the Dark Horse blueprint. Do not tell people you are coming. Do not document the journey as proof that you are trying. Build until the thing you are building speaks for itself. Because the most powerful entrances in history were made by people nobody was watching, who had been preparing longer, more quietly, more completely than anyone around them had any idea. Rise in silence, win in public, not as a strategy, as a sequence. The silence comes first, always. And the winning, the real, undeniable, complete winning follows. Without fail, without exception. For everyone who honored the silence long enough to let it finish its work. I want to ask you something that I do not need you to answer out loud. What are you building right now that nobody knows about? Not the thing you've told people about, the thing beneath that, the real thing, the one you have not shared because you know it is not ready yet, because you understand somehow that speaking it too early would cost you something. That instinct is not fear. That instinct is wisdom. It is the Dark Horse knowing at a cellular level that the silence is part of the process. Honor it. If this video names something you have been living but couldn't articulate, share it with one person. Not your feed, one person. The person who is also in the silence, who needs to know that what they are doing has a name, that it has a history of working, that the quiet is not failure, it is preparation. And if you want to keep building alongside a channel that understands this, that will not ask you to perform your progress or celebrate before the work is done, subscribe. This channel rises in silence too, and I will see you in the next one. Now, you have the blueprint. 3 principles, a framework, a name for what you have been doing, that there is one more question underneath all of it. And it is a question every Dark Horse eventually faces. What happens on the days when the silence feels like it is not working? When I have been building for months and I cannot tell if it is accumulating into something or just disappearing. That question has a specific answer, and it is not about motivation. It is not about pushing harder. It is about a single shift in how you measure progress when no external measure exists yet. The next video covers exactly that. It is called You Are Not Behind, You Are Building in Silence. Watch it next. It is the companion to everything we just talked about, the piece that keeps the blueprint running on the hardest days.